So I'd like to thank all of you for coming to my talk. So my name is Marsha. I am the president of N Chatt Interactive Poetry Organization. We are, as far as I know, the only nonprofit poetry organization in the city. And on top of that, we are an interactive poetry organization. And I think, until somebody tells me different, we are the only one in the entire universe. So being interactive means that not only do we share poetry, but we talk about it. So there's a few things about N Chatt that I really want people to know about. I'm very, very passionate about the mission of the organization because I'm one of those radical artists who believes that if everyone had an opportunity to express themselves in an artistic way without fear of being judged or ridiculed, and to really feel listened to really feel heard, suicide rates would go down, depression rates would go down, mass shootings would go down, domestic violence, all of those things that plague our society, the mental health, the feeling of being isolated and loneliness and trauma bound. A lot of that stuff would go away if we just felt validated and heard. So, N Chatt has existed since 1999. It was first started by Vincent Phipps, who a lot of people in the community are very familiar with this amazing man. I joined the organization in 1999 looking for a place to share my poetry. I'd been writing for years, but had never shared it with anybody because poetry, in the words of one of my beloved pop poets, Walt Barger, is like turning yourself inside out. It's very personal. So you want to be really particular about where you share your poetry and with whom you share your poetry. But there's something in you that like really wants to share it. So I joined in 1999. In 2003, Vincent stepped down to do other amazing things, and he's still doing amazing things in the community and across the nation and the world. And I became the president of N Chatt. It was in 2021, after the pandemic, that I realized that this organization needed to outlive me. And that's when I did the work to actually make this organization a nonprofit and to give it back to the community. So the beauty in it being an interactive group, what it does for the poet is, in a lot of cases, it's the very first time that a poet really feels heard. Because with our interactive formats that we do in our workshops, in our open mic sessions, our open mic shows, the poet comes to the mic, they share their poem, and instead of walking away to finger snaps, they stay at the mic. And there's a moment where the audience has an opportunity to engage with the poet. They can ask them questions to get a better understanding of the poetry, to get a better understanding of the style, the process that the poet actually went through to create their poem. And what that does is it allows the poet to feel heard. And a lot of times we as artists, we don't feel heard. For the audience, it gives them not only an opportunity to get a better understanding of the process, but it gives them an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody who, under normal circumstances, they may have never had a conversation with. I've seen exchanges between people from completely different demographics, have conversations about spirituality, have conversations about ethnicity that would not happen were it not for the safe platform that we provide. And our hope and our goal is that people leave the room changed. We want them to appreciate poetry, but we also want them to have a better understanding of people who look different than them, who think differently, who express themselves differently, and give people more grace and have more compassion. We have a tagline in our organization that we're changing lives one rhyme at a time. And that's really what our goal is, to give more kindness in our community. We all need more kindness. The members of our organization, a lot of them are poets. Some of them are reluctant poets. Some of them have been writing and are terrified to stand at the mic. And our organization undergirds those folks, and we support them, and we give them safe platforms to where they are they are welcome to fall flat on their faces, and we are still going to love on them. There are also some who are members of the organization where all they want to do is to be in a room with people who are kind. And we enjoy that as well. There's several people who have never stepped to the mic, but they come to our events and they ask questions and they engage with the poets who come to the mic, and it's a beautiful thing. So I do encourage each of you, if you have not heard of Rhyme and Chat, look us up, but you can visit our website at Rhyme and Chat, RHYME, the letter N and CHATT.org. You can go to .com, it'll get you there as well, so that you can learn more about the organization. Do want to let you know some of the things that we have coming up. So we have just started a podcast, which I am so excited about. So the podcast just launched this past month. So every third Wednesday at 9 p.m. on Chattanooga's NPR station, WUTC 88.1, you will hear the One Rhyme at a Time podcast. It's so cool. So what the podcast does is it partners a poet, a conversation with a poet, and a conversation with a mental health professional. Because our goal is to show the healing that happens in the creation and the consumption of the arts. And we also want to normalize and remove the stigma of talking about mental health topics. We also want people to realize that poetry is cool, and all of it is not boring. All of it is not intimidating. Some people think that it's all intimidating, and all of it is not. It is self-expression, and it is beautiful. And so we start the conversation off with a poet sharing their poem. And then I have a conversation with them about some of the techniques that they use, some of the symbolism in their poetry. And then the last part of the conversation is with a mental health professional, a social worker, a therapist, someone along that line. And we pull from the poem a mental health topic. One of our topics was about dealing with disappointment, because the poem was talking about expectations that were not met. So we had a conversation about how do you manage your expectations to where they're healthy. And then when you are disappointed, because disappointment is going to come, it's a part of life, how do you cope with that? And how do you get over that? How do you move forward? So it's a wonderful conversation that happens. It's different every single time. If you are a poet and you would like to be featured, get in touch with us. Our email address is RNC for Rhyme and Chat, rncpoetry@gmail.com. If you are a social worker, a therapist, a life coach, or you know someone who might be interested to be a part of that conversation, get them in touch with us as well. We are new, we're just starting. So you will hear us on 88.1 on the third Wednesdays at 9, but you can also follow our RNC Poetry YouTube channel or search for us at Spotify. And you can find us in either one of those places at this point. One of the books that we have available is our 2023 Poetry Anthology. We do a book every year, 2021, 2022, and 2023. And I want to talk about this book in particular because it is an interactive book, and I'm so proud of it. So in this particular book, we have Rhyme and Chat members as well as members of the community who we've crossed paths with during the year. We have our book launch every December, so we're going to be having another one that's coming up December of this year. As you go through this book, it has writing prompts. And when you come across a page with a writing prompt, those who accept the challenge, write your poem, take a picture of it, scan the QR code. It's going to automatically open up your email. Send the picture of the poem to Rhyme and Chat, and Rhyme Chat will respond to your poem with a poem. So it is a really cool way to have a conversation with somebody who you don't know. You don't know who in our Rhyme Chat family is responding to you, but it's in a very safe way. There's something about poetry that allows us to have even some tough conversations about some tough topics in a way that doesn't take you aback as much as just a straightforward conversation. So we've had some people who have sent us poems and they're going through some emotional things. And we don't claim to be therapists, but we can relate because we too have emotion. So we respond to them. And our hope is that those who are lonely, those who are reaching out, will feel not so lonely and not so isolated because they've engaged with us. There's also blue QR codes in this book. And when you scan the blue QR code, not only will it take you to a video of the poet performing their poem, you can also see the words of their poem on the screen. You hear their voice. One of the amazing things about this book is there's a wonderful member of our organization, Denise Dennehy. She was poetically known as the Divine Poetess. While this book was being printed November of last year, she passed away. So her family now has, she submitted 3 poems. They now have her voice and a video of her sharing her poetry like forever. And it's a beautiful thing. And in times like this, when it comes to getting gifts for people, it's really challenging, you know, because you don't just go buy people a sweater or a scarf or socks anymore. We give gift cards, but it's not very personal. Doesn't have a lot of emotional or sentimental attachment. But when you can share a book, especially if you're in it, but even if you're not in the book, if you have people that you know, or you can say that these people are from the city that I live in, it's a beautiful thing and it makes it more personal. Check out the books that we have and support our organization in that way. Also, consider being a member of our organization. So there's a lot that we do in the community, a lot that we do for the community, as far as our writing workshops, our open mic sessions that happen that are free and open to the public. But there's a higher level of service and care that we give to those who are members. And membership is only $50 a year, but you get discount any of the items that you purchase, the merchandise that you purchase will be discounted. Events that you come to will be discounted. And you also have opportunities to volunteer for like amazing events like the one that's happening today. And then you also have an opportunity when people in the city get in touch with Rhyme Chat and they're in need of a poet. We reach out to those who are members of our organization to see who's interested in supporting this particular event. Some of them are paid, some of them are not paid, but we pull on our membership in order to make that happen. We also provide publication services and support for our members. We have actually 2 members right now who are going through the process of getting their books published. We do self-publication, and I'm actually the person who designs the covers for our anthologies, does all the layout of the books, the QR codes, the videos. So since the Lord has blessed me to be able to do those things, it's not fair for me to keep that to myself. So I share that with the members of the organization, whatever their needs are. So tell some people about us and about the amazing things that we do in the community. I have about 5 minutes left to my time. Those who are in the room, do you have any questions at all for me about anything that I've shared or even something that I haven't shared? Any questions? You're going to engage with me? They're going to come out with the cane and snatch me away at 12:45. Yeah.
I saw you all getting on the elevator. I was in the lobby.
Yes.
So I said, let me find her.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for following me. Yes, sir.
Since a few did come in late, if there aren't any more questions, Would you mind redoing the poem that you opened up with again?
I can do that.
You do that?
And that's about 4 minutes long.
Right.
That's a,
Were there any questions?
did anybody have any questions?
That's the poem.
Okay. So I may do it. I may be even more saucy this time. So this particular poem was written in honor of those who write. So there's a lot of power in the spoken word, but there's a lot of power if you take the time to write it out. So this is in honor of all of those who write. Okay? This is my signature piece. So it's really okay if all I do is talk about you. You see, talk is cheap. It has a short shelf life in the brain. It's often tossed about without much thought or restraint. Talk is fleeting. You see, it floats away on the first rogue wind that comes along in search of a stagnant mind or an idle ear to land upon. Talk drifts carelessly off loose lips with Freudian slips, sinking ships like those with no sail. Talk drifts carelessly, flying like bullets, often missing their target, injuring the innocent, and landing anywhere that gravity allows unless we forget. Oh, but be wise. For you see, talk is often twisted and manipulated to one's own demise. So it's really okay if all I do is talk about you. Oh, but if I write about you, you see, when a poet takes the time to put pen to paper, my words are eternally etched in stone, commandment, shouted from the mountaintop with no abandonment. I got a mind bent on self-expression. You see, I'm adamant. With pen dripping, liquid gold is priceless. You can't buy me. It's timeless. You can't deny me. It's like a delta, but you can't fly by me. With lyrics flowing like a river on paper, but when spoken, the words disappear like vapor. Oh, but when I write, I regain all power and control. My words, once written, are passed down like ancient historical scrolls, painstakingly laid out, letter by letter and line by line, an architectural wonder with intricate design. My words drop bombs like amethyst rocks and rolls like thunder. It's no wonder it's shocking like lightning. Its brightness is frightening, illuminating dark skies and opening mind's eyes. And when him won't do right, I write. You see, my words come in like wrecking balls. I'm breaking hearts and smashing walls. I'm crumbling weak and damaged egos because I write about your mama, your papa, your enemies and amigos. So don't make me have to write about you. Because when I do, even your unborn grandchildren will shun the written word for thought that it was written about them and penned by me. So it's really okay if all I do is talk about you. You see, when lip touches tongue, there's no need to run because I'd rather use my pen than to pull out a gun because I can only blow your brains out once. But with my rhyme, y'all, I can blow your mind 1,000,000 times. For you see, I speak with my mouth, but I write from my soul. I speak with a silver tongue, but my writing flows pure gold. I speak because I'm living, but it's through my writing that I thrive. I speak with passion, but y'all, I write to stay alive. With every word shaped and formed like a potter working with clay. You better watch how you work with a poet's words, because a poet's words don't play. I thank you.